Hi everybody, welcome to Build a Quilt. I'm Diana, and this video is how to create our new block collection called the gift box. It's perfect for this time of year because right now we are into the holiday season. So gift boxes can be used for holidays, obviously, to make a beautiful runner or a table mat or small wall hanging. I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Or maybe you want to make a special birthday banner or a special birthday mat to put the cake and all on when you're celebrating someone's birthday. Or maybe you want to do something that has gifts that is going to celebrate something else, the birth of a child, maybe something like that. Well, this set will allow you to do that. And in this set, you're getting 2 free pattern layouts with the information that you need to create them. And for one of them, you're also getting an additional free sashing set, which can be used with these blocks regardless of how you put them together. So this block is called the gift box blocks. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. And this is the written pattern. Now, as with everything here at Build a Quilt, it's all downloadable, so you don't have to wait for shipping or anything like that. And you don't have to pay shipping either, which is always a nice thing. It's completely downloadable. You get all the written material and all the digital patterns and this how-to video. Now, this how-to video is on our YouTube channel, but it is also going to be linked in your pattern on the very first page where it's right there, so that you will always know, have an address to type in and easily know where to go and get straight to that video without having to look through everything and make that a little bit easier for yourself. Alrighty, so would you like to see the blocks? Let me introduce to you, because this pattern is actually 2 blocks. And the difference in these blocks is kind of a simple difference, but it helps you, gives you some variety. It's the bow, basically. And so our gift box number 1 is this little cutie right here. Very simple. This is a great pattern for beginners as well, because you're learning to do some very simple things like just rectangles, flying geese units. That's really all you're having to do for either one of these blocks. So it's really quite simple. Now you can see here with this one, I used a little bit of holiday fabric that I had left over in my fabric stash. And it is 2 pieces that are the same that indicate the gift wrap for the box, right? And for the center strip here, I had it coordinate and be the same as the bow fabric, so it looks like a matching ribbon and bow. However, you're not stuck with doing it just like I've done it. You could make this 3 different colors all the way across if you wanted like a really crazy looking box scenario of 3 different patterns, or maybe your pattern paper is, I've seen some beautiful variegated pattern papers where they kind of go from light to dark across. You could do something like that on the bottom. And then the bow fabric, you can make any other color you want. Maybe you want the box to be the same, but you want this piece to be like another piece of paper or a different type of ribbon on that box. You can do that with any fabric you like. But in the instructions that you get in the written material, which can be downloaded to your computer, you can look at it on your tablet, anything like that, or download it so that you have your printed copy. In there, it tells you how to do it as I've seen it this way. Everything is diagrammed out with letters and numbers and all that for this. However, just know that by making your own notes on your pattern, if you want to change these colors and ideas and how they're done around, then that's entirely up to you. And I hope you do. I hope you really play with it and have a lot of fun. So gift box number 1. Both of these blocks are in a 10 by 10 size, so they're a great size if you want to put them in a quilt, or for creating the 2 patterns, which I'm going to tell you about in just a bit. And here is block number 2, gift box block number 2. As you can see, the bottom is exactly the same, made exactly the same way. And the reason I did this is, again, it makes it really great for beginners, because no matter what you do here, it's going to be the same for either box. Maybe you don't know which top you want, which bow section that you want. That's okay. Maybe you're thinking about that a little bit, but all your bottoms are the same. So you could get those all done right in a row, right as you go. No problems there at all. Now, this bow is the same type of bow. However, this bow is shorter. Sometimes on gift packages, you see short, wider bows. Sometimes you see taller bows. Well, that's the difference. Let me show them both to you. Gift box number 1 has the high spiky bow, and gift box number 2 has the shorter, wider bow. And that really depends on what you want. And in one of the patterns that come with the set, you're going to see that we use both of these. So hang on just for a little bit and I'll be showing you more about that. Now, in this bow section, we have to make this a 10 by 10 block. So in this bow section, you're going to be making this piece right here, basically your flying geese unit and this rectangle all in one hooping. You're going to start by laying down this fabric. Then you will lay down your flying geese fabric or the center fabric, trim on both sides, and do your 2 wings. In this video, there is a section on creating the flying geese unit. That's going to help you understand how this part gets made. And that's exactly what this is here. This is just kind of a taller, narrower kind of a flying geese unit, but it's still the same idea. But when you make this one for the shorter one, you will start out by just laying down this rectangular piece first. You'll stitch around it, and then you'll start your flying geese unit. It all fits on there exactly the same way. So you'll make this, then you'll take this next fabric and lay it on top, right sides together, stitch it down, flip it, and continue from there. So super simple, but you do have a flying geese demonstration in this video. And you're also going to have a demonstration for doing squares or rectangles. They're done exactly the same way, regardless of the shape, whether it's a square or a rectangle. You will have a outline, you'll place your fabric down, and then you will stitch it down. The video is going to be showing you that with a square, but it is exactly the same thing for these rectangles, whether you have this wider rectangle or the narrower ribbon rectangle, okay? I wanted to make that clear so that nobody was confused when it got to being that part of the video. So there are those 2 demos. There's also a short demo on how you're going to end up stitching this all together, because you will use your sewing machine, but here's the fun part. Don't get scared. You're not going to have to use a 1/4 inch foot on your machine. This has a built-in stitch that goes all the way around. It's the last thing you do. And then when you put your pieces together, if you follow down that line of stitching, you get the perfect, exactly the perfect seam every single time to make these blocks. So you don't have to worry about scant 1/4 inch, fat 1/4 inch, regular 1/4 inch, none of that. And as a quilter for over 55 years, I know that that is something that makes a lot of people timid about doing quilting, but you don't have to worry about that with Build a Quilt because we've taken care of it for you. It's built in right to your digital pattern. Now, again, gift box 1 and gift box 2. Now, I told you that in this pattern set, you're also going to get 2 free layout designs. Now, you will get your cut sheet information and your fabric information for the bottoms, the boxes themselves, and the bows. All of that comes in here, just like all of our other Build a Quilt patterns has the same type of information. You're going to get your layout sheet and instruction, and you're going to get our exclusive coloring sheets. I don't know if anyone else does a coloring sheet. This is something I started doing several years ago in my patterns, and I know all of my Build a Quilt friends love it because you can color pencils, crayons, whatever you like, and you can figure out what colors you want before you start cutting your fabric. And that's these right here. So box number 1 and box number 2. So that can help you. You can make as many copies as you want so that you can figure out what colors you want to use. Now, the first pattern is a simple one. It is made with only box 1. I suppose you could do box 2, but it is meant to be done with box 1. And it is our wall quilt or table mount. It finishes at 20 by 20 inches. quilt it however you like, whatever finished quilting technique you like to finish it, and then bind it. Now, with this one, again, you're going to do the 4x4 or the gift box one, but see how I've done them all. I've used the same color for the bows, and I've changed my box colors, but those box colors are all kind of in a purple and plummy and lavender color range. You can do whatever you like here. And I give you a special tip in the pattern of what I love this piece for, and I'll share it with you right now. I love it for a birthday banner or for a cake mat on your table. Somebody's birthday, hang it on their bedroom wall or on their bedroom door. Then everyone knows this is the celebration room. This person is having a birthday. Or give it to someone for a celebration. Make one that's specifically for the birth of a baby. And as we're all machine embroiderers with Build a Quilt, you could add a child's name and date of birth, all that kind of information to it. So I love this one. It's a quick and simple pattern to make, and it's great for beginners or folks that are more advanced with Build a Quilt too. And really, once you've done one or two small projects, like tiny projects with Build a Quilt, everybody is basically an expert at that point because it's super simple to do. And then you get your layout and information sheet for that. And then the second one is a table runner. Now it's kind of a shorter table runner this way in the width. It's not like 70 inches or anything like that. It is in fact 30 inches wide, which I like. I think that's a nice size because you can still get placemats on your table. If you're going to put this on a dining room table, you can still get placemats put down, or you can put it on top of a dresser, something like that. And this one is the one that comes with the sashing set. Now the sashing set is in this picture is this line right across here. And I recommend using the same fabric that you'll use for your background color. But if you want to change it up, you can, because this sashing set is made by 3x5 segment pieces. And you'll get that information in here as well. You'll make 6 of them, you'll stitch them together, and then you'll have the one row that goes across. So if you wanted to change the colors or make that center row into different colors to match the boxes or to coordinate with them, you could do that for sure. And so with this one, you're going to be making 3 box blocks 1, gift box block 1, and 3 gift box block 2s, okay? So you're going to go gift box 1, gift box 2, gift box 1. You're going to do that twice, but when you put it together, this bottom row, you're going to flip it upside down or 180 degrees so that your bows are always pointing out towards the outer part of your table, so that when someone's sitting there, they can look and they will see bows coming towards them and bows going away from them. So that is how that turns out. And then you'll quilt it in your favorite format and bind it. Super duper simple to do. If you have any questions about batting and things like that, we have a great batting video here at Build a Quilt. I'll try and make sure to add that at the end so that you can check that out. We did a great big how-to on all of that a little bit earlier in the fall. So it might be helpful for those of you who are new to quilting. But when you're done with this, you're going to have this great runner. Now, if you wanted to make it longer, you could. You make 2 sashing segments per box, per side of the box. So if you wanted to put sashing all the way around a single block, you could do that as well. So this pattern set really allows you to play and have fun and kind of be your own creator of what this is going to look like. I specifically put it together originally so that it could be holiday blocks. Maybe you want to do them in all different types of Christmassy looking fabrics, holiday fabrics. That's great. I have my little box of, I don't keep a lot of holiday fabric in my stash, but I do have some here. And so I got my box out, and that's where I found this fabric. But if you have a favorite designer, like I love Tula Pink, and so you can tell that's all Tula, you could do these in all different Tula gift boxes or any other scenario of fabric that you love. Alrighty, those are our 2 blocks. Now there was one more piece in the pattern I wanted to make sure that you saw, because I did. So in the fabric cut sheet, the one part is the bows, the bottom, there's your sashing information. So that is all in there as well. I didn't give you a sashing coloring sheet because I figured whatever your background fabric is most likely the background fabric you're going to use for that sashing sheet. All right. Next is coming some fabric, a couple short clips on fabric for each of the boxes. Then we have a layout video. Then you're going to see the stitching together segment. Oh, no, the layout video. No, sorry, let me back up. You're going to see the 2 little fabric videos, then the demo videos, then the layout, then stitching them together. And then I'll be back to share and finish up with you. So see you in just a little bit. Okay, everybody, here is our section on fabric. Now remember, you can use any fabric you want, and if you aren't making these to look holiday, maybe you're just making gift boxes in different colors, that's fine too. I have specifically used holiday fabric, but your fabric choice is up to you. So let's just go through these. Fabric number 1 and fabric number 2 are technically your background fabrics. I've chosen kind of a starlight or a candlelit white, not a pure white and not quite an ivory, but you can choose what you like. Fabric number 3, these are the 2 main sides of the box, and that's my Christmas fabric that I chose. It's just some scrap fabric that I had left over, and you might be able to get away with using scraps for these boxes for sure. I think the biggest piece you need to cut is 6 by 8 or 7 by 8. So if you have a piece that size, you can probably get away with it. And I've chosen to do both sides in the same color, but you can certainly do the front of the box in 3 colors. Do this and then your center and then a different color for the other side. That's entirely up to you as well. And then fabric number 4, this is for the bow on top of the box. And fabric number 5 is for the center stripe in the box. So the center stripe and the bow, I have made the same fabrics. If you choose to change them, that's entirely up to you. Because this is supposed to represent ribbon, this stripe, having these match will make it look a little like there's a little bit more continuity there. However, if you just want a bow sitting on top and you want this to be part of the box and not to represent ribbon, then that's fine. Make it whatever color you like. So there are your 5 different fabrics that you're going to need. 2 for background, 2 for the sides, 1 for the center, and 2 for the bow. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, everybody, this is the fabric information for block number 2, gift box number 2. In this box, you still have the 2 main sides, that's 1, and the stripe in the middle, that's 2. And then for the bow, you have a little bit more because this bow is slightly different. So you still have piece number 4 is matching piece number 2 if you want it bow and ribbon. If you want this just to be a different color, you can do that, like I said before. But you're also going to need a piece across the top, that's number 6, 2 pieces on the sides, that's number 5, and a piece, actually this is the piece across the top is number 3, and then the piece number 6 makes the center of the bow. So in total, you will have 3 fabrics again. Your main for the box, your main for the bow and the ribbon, and then the white becomes your background. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so here we are at the machine, and we're going to be doing the square. Now, you're going to say, I know, why would we just stitch 1 piece down on the stabilizer and when we could just cut it and sew it? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Part of the technique of piecing in the hoop is to give quilters who have never quilted and pieced before some guidelines to help them with final sewing, and to give all of us the ability to sew our quilt together without having to have a 1/4 inch foot on our sewing machine, without having to worry about accuracy when we're doing that, but without, even though we're not worrying about accuracy because all of our seam lines and things are built in, it's actually helping us to be more consistent. And consistency in our quilting is what makes our quilts really so beautiful. You know, I like to say about quilting, you can do anything you want in quilting, and don't let someone scream at you if you have like one little point that isn't exact. Perfect is the killer of joy in quilting, I think. I don't recommend you ever trying to be perfect, but what this does is helps you to be consistent so that you get everything just as it should be, and your project will come together nicely. But you won't have to worry about, oh, is my 1/4 inch a good 1/4 inch, a scant 1/4 inch? I've been quilting for over 50 years, and this really is going to help you with all that consistency without having to worry about it. And it gives you another thing as well. It gives you a final box so that you have that stitch guide when you go to stitch your squares together. So I'll show you more of that when we do our trimming. So here we are, we're all set up for our stitch out again. Now the square really only has two pieces. We're going to do our border just like we've done before. I've done everything on this wash away stabilizer, and I will admit this one is by far the easiest and fastest. In fact, according to my machine here, at 700 stitches a minute, this is all stitched out in a minute or less, so pretty quick. Now let's speak about speed for a little bit. I always recommend that you don't piece above 700 stitches per minute. You can do your embroidery that way and all, but quilting is not about speed. And whenever we go and start to worry about speed, high speeds, that's when we end up with more mistakes, even in this process. So I say don't go above 700 stitches a minute on your machine speed. If your machine doesn't even go that high, good. That's good. Usually I do 600 to 700 stitches a minute on my machine. I put my little bit of glue there. Now I'm going to lay my square of fabric down, and I can kind of feel where my border is. Okay, it's not exactly even on all sides, but it doesn't matter. I have plenty of fabric there for trimming. Now my second and my last piece, because I don't really have to do that basting or that stitched out border again because it's really doing it for me now. I am just going to stitch this down. This is my final stitch step for doing my square. So now all of my squares are going to be exactly the same size. That's the consistency thing, not only with your seams, but when you cut. A lot of times, oh, we think we cut everything right. And if you've been a quilter in more traditional ways, you know what I mean when I say squaring up a square. You never have to square up when you piece in the hoop. It's really nice not to have to do that. So this one is done just like that. So our square is finished. Now we're going to go over under my other camera, and we're going to talk about trimming these out, and then we'll be ready for our last little bit of our talk here on our how-to video for Build a Quilt in the Hoop Block Basics Set 1. Okay, here we are at my machine. Now I'm using a Brother, but whatever machine you're using, you've loaded your file with your either a USB stick, or your machine might allow you to do it via Bluetooth or a wire, whatever you use. Let's just talk real quickly about fabric prep. It's really important to prep your fabric in advance. So one, it's a more efficient process for you. So here for my flying geese unit, I have my rectangle and I have my 2 triangles. Now, how did I get these 2 perfect triangles? You're told in the instructions to cut a square, and then this is one of those times when you're told to subcut. And to subcut these squares, you're going to cut from diagonal point to diagonal point with your ruler on your cutting mat. And when you do that, you get your two triangles, and then you have the perfect two pieces. So that's what is meant by subcutting. Now, you can see I keep a little basket with my tools, the ones that we just talked about, right here next to my machine. So they're all in one place. They're not rolling around on me. Today, I'm going to be using black thread so that you can see it. However, my favorite thread is 0184 by Isacord. It's a light dove gray. It's actually called Pearl, but it's the perfect color for piecing. It won't show through. You won't get shadows from it. If when you sew them together, you see a little bit of it, it's going to blend in with your fabric. It's not going to be any kind of a problem. But today I'm going to be using black so that you can see it. And I have my hoop all set up with my wash away stabilizer. And I am going to link my stabilizer video at the end of this video for you, because it's really important to use wash away. Other in the hoop type quilting systems will use a poly mesh, and that's okay, but there is a real reason as a quilter we want to use a wash away, and that's all in the video for you. So I will link that at the end of this how-to video. So now I've placed my hoop, and I'm going to start with step one, machine step one, and that's what it will say in your instructions. They will call these machine steps. It's stitching out. Now, machine step one and machine step two on your flying geese unit is stitched directly onto your stabilizer. What it is giving you is an outline of the piece, and it's giving you a placement line. Step two gives you the placement line for placing your first piece of fabric. So here we go on number two. Excuse me. Now, regarding your fabric, I give you really generous cut sizes because we have to make sure to have enough to come over our border line so that we can trim it at the end. And I don't want you ever, when you flip your fabric, to be in a scenario where you don't have enough for the flip. So I'm going to remove my hoop a little bit right here so you can see it. Now, this is the perfect time for the next step, which is machine step three, to place a little of your glue stick right here in that center triangle, and then place your first fabric, just like it says in the instruction. First pieces of fabric are always laid right side up. Now that's plenty of fabric, and you'll see that here in a second. Like I said, my cut sizes for you are generous, so that you don't end up, having problems on your edges and your flipping. So now this is machine step three, and it is tacking down our fabric number one. And you'll see that in your instructions. Now, in the instructions, it's going to tell you, we need to remove, to trim along this edge and along this edge. Don't trim beyond the boundary here, because we'll trim that at the end when we trim the whole piece out of the stabilizer. Don't trim above the point of the triangle, because again, that's the outside of your overall piece, and you want to be able to trim that later. So let's lay this on a flat surface, and let me adjust down my camera. There we go. Now you can see it. I've got my scissors, and I'm going to trim roughly 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here. I just eyeball it. I don't mark it. I don't put a ruler down and mark it or anything like that. If you feel more comfortable, you can, but really you're just trying to eyeball that. And I've left all of that up at the top over the border. And I'm going to do that again over here. I'm going to leave plenty above for trimming later. And I'm just trimming this right off. There you go. So now I'm going to have enough when I stitch across this later. I'm going to have enough of this up here to trim off, and I'll have plenty down here as well. All right, your next part of your instruction says to lay piece number 2 right side down on piece number 1. So second and subsequent pieces always get laid right side down, just like that. Easy, right? Now we'll place this back into the machine. And let me bring this back up a little. There we go. And we're going to do machine step number 4. And I'll just hold my stabilizer down there a little bit so you can see it. Now, the next step is number 4, which says to flip fabric B, this is fabric B, into space 2 and stitch machine step 5. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there in space number 2, and now I'm going to flip my fabric. And this is when you can use your seam roller to kind of give that a little press, or you can use your fingers, either way. And now machine step number 5. And I just kind of, as it's working, sometimes I just kind of like let my fingers guide it a little bit, but please keep your fingers well away from the needle and the mechanism. Now on this one, there's no need to do any trimming at all because all of your excess fabric is outside the outer boundary box, and that will be trimmed later. Then we're on to our next step, which is number 5 in the instructions. And this is piece number 3. And again, it's your other triangle. So it's just like we did the last one. We're going to place it right side down, but on the other side this time. There we go. And now we're going to do machine step 6. And you're going to get a perfect flying geese unit every time you do this. And flying geese in the more traditional patchwork process can be a little bit complicated. There's measuring and things you have to do. With this, it's easy peasy. Now I flipped that. I put a little glue in there. And now we're going to do machine step 7, which is just going to tack it down here on the other side. And I'm just going to kind of just like petting it a little bit to keep it flat. The glue will hold it there though. Okay, so now we're ready for our very last step, which is machine step 8. But I want to talk to you really quickly because this is where you would use tape to tape down where your fabric comes together. And that will allow you, let's move our camera down. That will allow you, your foot, not to get caught on the fabric and flip it over and end up causing trouble. So what I do is I take a piece of my embroidery tape, I tape it down, I give that a little rip there. So that's one section. And I have 3 joining areas on the flying geese unit at the top peak and in the bottom 2 corners. So I have those taped. Now my foot, when it's going around to do our boundary box, which becomes our guidelines for sewing our segments together, it's not going to get hit. Let me see if we can move our machine a little bit closer. There you go. I think that's a little bit better. I had it a little bit far away. Now we're going to stitch down the final machine step, which is machine step 8, and you will have created your first flying geese unit on your embroidery machine. See how simple it was? Just so you know, I'm using 700 stitches per minute, and if I were just doing this and not talking, My machine says it takes this 2 minutes to stitch out, so really quick and easy. Okay, now we can remove this. Now you'll want to remove your tape, and then you'll take the whole thing out of your hoop, and then we're going to trim these, and we'll trim all 3 of our demonstrated segment pieces at one time. So I'm not going to do that here. And now we are ready. We finished our flying geese unit, super simple, and we are ready to move on to our split rail block. Okay, friends, this is our layout section of the video. And as you can see, here we have block 1 and it's all put together. And then here I have block 2 or box 2, and it is all in separate pieces because how I put this together is also how you'll put the gift box 1 together. And as you can see, once you get these put together, it's really just a 2-row layout, very simple. You're going to start with this bottom section, which is technically the gift box, and you will put your center piece, and then you will add your large side pieces to each side, and that gives you your first row. Now, regarding this piece, I have had this piece match the bow on top in both of my boxes to represent a kind of ribbon and bow that match. However, you can always, I think I've said this before, you can always make this any color you want. If you want this 3 colors, it can be 3 separate fabrics, or you can make this a different fabric from the bow, whatever you would like. It's up to your personal taste. So this is row 1. And then in row 2, you have the bow. Now there's a little difference between the bow in box 2 and the bow in box 1. In box 1, it's just this section, which is kind of a modified sized flying geese unit. And then you have your 2 side pieces. In gift box 2, this is your bow piece, and it looks very similar, but this is actually 2 pieces of fabric here because this bow is shorter this way than this bow is. And so I needed to add that fabric there for you so that it would square up in the end. So in this one, when you're making this bow for gift box 2, you start out the layout by laying this out, then adding your center piece, trimming any side fabric, and then adding your 2 side pieces, which end up being your bow. Very simple to do, but I wanted to explain that difference to you. And then you just add your 2 side pieces, just like you would with the first box. And then you have a second row, and you end up putting those 2 rows together, and you get the second box. And when you look at these, you can see this bow is shorter, that bow is taller. That's the only difference between them, but it does give you some variation if you're putting together the runner that is in this pattern set so that you can have 2 different looking gift boxes. Okay, that's the easy layout for the gift box. Now we'll move on. Hi everybody, so this is Diana and I'm here at my sewing machine to show you how to sew your pieces together without getting that stitch line to show. Now you can see here I just have 2 little half square triangles. I've used the pin method up here at the point to make sure they're lined up, and I just have 1 clip here. Now what I do first is when I put this in my machine, I get my needle right to where the line would be, right on that stitch line, okay? Then I come over to my machine's tools, and I take my width down by 1, and that's all. Now I'm going to put it back up, and I'm going to take you back over to here and let you see that. Okay, so watch the needle, how that moves. I'm going to move it now. See how it just moved 1 place to the inside, or I guess as you're looking at it, it would be to the left. That would be to the inside. Now I'm going to place my needle down. And I can go ahead and remove my clip because this is a small piece. And I can sew right down. And I have my stitch length at 1.8. And you can see now that I've already done a few stitches, it is still right one click in. It's not directly on top of it. And so I should, when I'm done, be able to finish and not have that black line sewn. And you just follow it all the way down. Now I'm going to cut my thread and bring it out, and I will open this up and bring it right back over so you can see it. So there it is, opened up. Now you might see a little of the black in this case because I used that marker, but when I'm just going to open up my seam in the back and hold it open for you. But you can see when I hold it open, that's just a little piece of thread that I can pull out of there. That's gone. And now you don't see it at all. You don't see any of the black thread, which I used for demonstration purposes, but you don't see any of my original embroidery thread from making the patchwork itself. And that is just by moving that needle one space and one space only. And again, I always stitch these with a 1.8 or a 2.0 stitch length so that it really holds these together when you go and open them up. And when I open it up here, you can see the line all the way down on both sides. And that's what you should be able to do. So I hope that you found that helpful. That was a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. And now we'll move on with the rest of the Q&A for today. Okay, everybody. So I hope you see how easy it is to make these gift boxes. I just loved putting them together and coming up with the designs. That's box 2. That's box 1. And so again, they're 10 by 10 in size, so they're going to be great. If you want to add them into a quilt, 10 by 10 is really a sweet spot in a quilt block size, I think. Over all the years that I have quilted, I've seen tiny blocks and those big jumbo blocks, which you can, put together quilts really quick and easy with those, and I love them. But the 10 by 10 is just kind of a nice, sweet spot of a size. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now just let me share with you some more information. If you have any questions regarding this video or the pattern, please contact us at support@sewincommon.com. Our hours are from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. I will get back with you right away during that time. You don't have to wait a day or anything like that. Sometimes I will still answer over the weekend. If I get the emails, I will answer them. But I just want you to know our specific hours are 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. And our website, again, in case you've forgotten, or haven't gotten your pattern yet, is www.mybuildaquilt.com. And you can find this pattern there, and you can find all of our other Build a Quilt patterns there as well. And we have quite a few. And we have our brand new Quilt Lab subscription for the coming year available over there now too. And so take a look at that. And we have a lot more new pattern sets coming from now until the end of the year. So stay tuned. While you're over at the website, subscribe. That way, when I send out information to folks about the new stuff that's coming out, you'll be the first to get it, okay? So that is www.mybuildaquilt.com. Now, this was the how-to for the gift box block set. One more thing I want to let you know, in case you want to share this with somebody who might be looking for a gift for you, is we now have gift cards at Build a Quilt. When you go to our website, up in the top, there's a little word up there in the dash that says more. It's a drop-down box. Gift cards are right at the bottom, and right there is where they can choose to purchase a gift card for you. It will come to you. You'll have a code that you put in, a link and a code, all of that, so that you can use that gift card. And the nice thing about Build a Quilt gift cards is they do not expire, not ever. So keep those emails in case you don't want to lose them. We can help you find those codes and cards if somehow they get lost, but please try and keep those emails. But those gift cards are available over at the website. And folks, it's been great to be with you today for this how-to video. Please subscribe, like, and share here to our YouTube channel. Every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we get together for Build a Quilt Workshop Live, where we either work on a quilt lab pattern for that month or some other pattern or design or some other topic around quilting. And so please join us then. We also have like a question of the week, and we give away prizes, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun to come and be with everyone else. So thank you all so much for being with me today. And I hope all of you have a great rest of your week. And until next time, as always, quilt life beautiful.